We are live. Welcome to Eric and Linda Live from Workvine 209. You gotta love technology. Sometimes it works really well, and sometimes you have challenges. So we had a few challenges today. So welcome. I'm Eric.
And I'm Linda, and we're coming live from Workvine 209. And we're happy to have you here today. Again, we have another dynamic guest on our show, and I am going to let Eric introduce him to you.
Yeah, so today we have a gentleman that we've been working with a little bit on the side here. He's been talking to us about different strategies, ideas. His name is Carter Welch. He's a business coach consulting, equips owners to grow and adapt and even pivot. And so he's also took one company from $10 million to $60 million. This is a guy who you want to work with. And so let's go ahead and welcome Carter Welch. Welcome, hey, Carter. How are you?
Hey, Carter.
I'm doing great. I need you to introduce me every time I'm in front of somebody.
Yeah, thank you, man. So tell us, Carter, a little bit about what you do and the company you work for, and share that.
Yeah.
Sure. So I work with a company called SureLaws. We're a global firm of everyone's a former business owner. And so we work with companies that range from startup to $50 million in revenue. And we really help them grow, help them adapt, help them pivot. And in the current times, we're doing a lot of work in helping companies adapt and helping them pivot and helping them look at their business strategies so that they can really grow, get back the revenue that they had and even grow in this environment.
Yes. So you're a coach and an advisor. So do you work with just all types of companies, like even startups as well?
I work with all types of companies. Some of my clients right now, an advertising agency, small accounting firm, law firm, landscape company, IT service provider, just a wide range of companies.
Wow. So you have to know quite a bit, I assume.
Well, what's interesting. We have one of the things that I really love about SureLaws is that we have IP, we have frameworks that really are good at helping create a foundation, regardless of the industry. Because what we find is that business owners have similar challenges. And it doesn't really depend on the industry. And it's funny, I was talking with someone about this just today, that for business owners, the challenge usually isn't that they don't have enough ideas. The challenge is that they have too many. And so key thing that we try to do and that I try to do is help simplify and focus. Because you think about how many millions of business books are there out there, and they're all really good.
Yes.
But then the challenge is, as a business owner, you don't have 80 hours a week to sit back and really contemplate your business strategy. You actually have to run a business and manage people and manage cash flow. And so what we try to do is just take some of our frameworks and help business owners simplify and get to the core issues so they can start breaking them down and fixing them one issue at a time.
I want to say that we've been working with you for the last couple months. And one thing I want to say about you, Carter, is that you're genuine. And I know that you want to help businesses, but you genuinely want to help us. I mean, and that's what I really admire about you. I know you're a professional at what you do, but you're very transparent and you come from a good heart. So I just wanted to add that into your credentials.
Well, thank you very much. It's funny. I think some people are wired that they want to be the CEO and they want to run their company. I love being a Sherpa. I love being a person who walks alongside business owners. I had one client who, not a huge company, but I did some work with them. They were able to double their profit. And they came to me and they said, they were so thrilled because they said, because of this work we just did, we gave ourselves a raise. And it's the first time we've done it in 15 years. And,
Wow.
and that to me, I love that. That's what gets me going. I love when people can see the fruits of their labor, and it just gets me happy.
Great.
Yeah, and another thing too is that you're so honest. I mean, like you really will tell us, okay, honestly, and you do it in a way where we're not like trying to justify, but we're in a way that we think about, oh yeah, we didn't think about that, or and you pull it out of us. So that's I think another plus to your resume is that you're honest and genuine, and you really point things out in a way to business owners that isn't so Debbie Downer. It's it's an uplifter, and it's a contemplating question that sometimes business owners are stuck in their own mindset where they don't want to hear other recommendations or whatever. So thank you for that.
As a former business owner, I think I understand that it can be really lonely. I mean, you can have 50 employees, you can have 500 employees, but when you're the owner, it can be really lonely. You can feel alone. You may be at a little bit of a crossroads and you don't know, should I go this way or should I go that way? But you can't go to lower levels in your company and say, boy, I'm clueless. I don't really know what to do. They panic and they can't do that. And so sometimes being able to talk to a former business owner, just as a sounding board and someone who's been there, you're talking about being honest. I've had some spectacular failures in my own career in business, but you learn from it. And someone said to me once, they said, I love working with you because you know what it's like to not to have to make payroll on Friday afternoon when you don't have any cash on Friday morning. Right. And I think it's the reality of owning a business is that, you have to be able to take theory and practice, but then implement it in a very real way. And you have to prioritize. One of the things that we talk a lot about is strategy, that business owners often, they have a vision, they have a tactical plan, but that area in the middle of strategy is where they sometimes struggle. Because, a good entrepreneur like you guys, you say, I know where we're going. And then the next step is you say, and we got to do something. We can't wait. We have to do it. And the problem is that the critical nature of strategy is that strategy helps you identify the right things to do because you can't do everything. Yeah. And so that's part of, I was going to share a couple of slides just about strategy and what people can do to grow, adapt, and pivot. And by the way, please feel free to jump in and stop me if you want to.
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
I think this is definitely something that business owners, entrepreneurs need to know, equipping owners to grow, to adapt, and especially now to pivot.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that we do is we like owners to start thinking about where are they. This is a model of the business journey that, companies go through startup, they hit growth, and then hopefully they hit advanced growth. Unfortunately, a lot of them go through and they decline. And we like to think, we've looked at thousands of companies, and oftentimes startups, they have what's called the first brick wall and the second brick wall. And in each phase, these are emotions and how people feel. If you think back how you felt when you first started, you were really excited. Well, then you hit a space where now we're frantic and we've got to generate revenue. Typically, we've got to generate revenue. So, you invest in some form. You invest in your time, you invest in money. You get through that brick wall, and then you hit good times, you hit payback. This is the place where people buy that boat or a nice new car. But then most businesses plateau, and they have to get through this big brick wall. And this is about strategies. It's about skills. And what we find is to get from one stage into another, you have to build platforms for that growth. And we kind of talk about 4 different types of platforms that companies need to think about making. And it depends on where they are in their journey. So the first are strategic platforms, then revenue platforms, infrastructure, and behavioral. And I'll just touch upon a couple of these. In strategy, we talked about doing the right things and being able to prioritize. One of the things right now that is so important is understanding positioning. And most owners think, well, positioning is what I want my brand to be or what I want my company to be. But in truth, positioning is what your clients think you are, what the market thinks you are. That's the real positioning, because you are what they think you are in their minds. And one of the things that we encourage, I always encourage owners to do in positioning is to talk to their clients. Just have a conversation. They can do it. They can hire someone to do it. 30-minute conversation, and just ask some basic questions. Why did you choose us to begin with? What were your expectations? What have we actually delivered? What are some of the good things that you've liked about working with us? If there's one thing that you could change, what would that be? And if the client says, oh, nothing, you're perfect, say, okay, that's great. But if there's one small thing, what might that be? And then ask questions like, if one of your friends was looking for a company like us, what would you tell them about us? How would you describe us? Because the way your clients describe you, that's your real positioning. And a lot of times I had a client that I worked with who was in the M&A business, and they thought their positioning was one thing of, getting a lot of money for their clients when they sell, when in reality, the clients loved them because they cared about their legacy. They cared about the company. They cared about the owners. So they pivoted and they changed their positioning based upon that. I was just talking yesterday to a company client. They do they have food products, meals, food preps. And I said, well, what is your positioning? And he said, well, we offer really healthy, super healthy products for healthy lifestyles. I said, well, what do your clients say about why they buy you? And they said, well, that's interesting. They buy us because they say our food is just incredibly great tasting, and it's fast delivery. And I said, if you pivoted a little bit and you focused more on what your clients really love about you, then you're going to get more clients to buy you than if you try to force some positioning on them that isn't really who you are. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
does.
Another big thing, especially right now, to really focus on are products. One of the mistakes that a lot of companies make is that they think they don't have enough products, when in reality, they often have too many products, and the products they have aren't differentiated enough. And why is that a problem? Well, there's a cost, whether you're offering a service or a product. There's some cost and some expense to every service or product that you offer. And if you reduce the amount of products or services you offer, so you can really focus on making them great, making them cost efficient, and then you also can figure out how to market those, how to communicate those products really effectively, then you end up being a lot more meaningful to customers. They understand more about, because what they're really buying is that product or that service. And if you have less of them, you can focus your energy on that. You can reduce your costs, and you can make a bigger impact in the market.
Yeah, that's really good.
That's
That's good. Yeah.
I would say, another strategy to really work on at these times is our channels to market. So one of the people I've worked with has a small food product, and she was selling into corporate offices. She had a nice business in corporate offices, which she'd sell to. I mean, these are big companies. She'd sell for their corporate lunchrooms. Well,
Yeah.
guess what's happened in the last 2 months? There aren't very many corporate lunchrooms, right?
Wow.
So that channel's right up. So she's now having to say, well, how can I get to market? Can I go through a different channel? Can I find another way to get my product out there? One of the things on channels for service companies is to look at referral partners. That is a huge thing because you reduce your costs of advertising. You are working with people who know you. And if you can have a third party endorse you, Linda, the very kind things you said about me at the beginning, right? Well, that means a lot more to potential clients of mine than my saying those same things, right? It's not as believable if I say them, but if you're saying them, then it's a lot more believable and people can trust. And one of the interesting things in a recessionary period or a difficult period is that one of the biggest benefits people are seeking is reducing risk. And one of the great ways you reduce risk is through referrals from other people, third-party endorsements. What else?
That's a really good point. I mean, just thinking, about our business. How do we, think about who our best partners would be? And sometimes when we're so involved, it's like, okay, I can't really see it. And so you need people, advisors and teams of people around you who can see the things that you can't. And just a few months ago, someone said, why don't you reach out to one of the hotels here? Because some of them don't have spaces to work. And so we've been getting referrals from a local hotel who have people that are traveling that are also looking for a place to work. So that is very true.
That's great. I'll share one more thing. One of the things that I talk to people a lot on whatever platform, whatever strategy they're working on, is to think of 3 words: vision, strategy, and tactics. And it is why, what, and how. And no matter what you're working on, to me, one of the most important things is to get back to the vision. Well, okay, why are we doing this? What are the desired outcomes? Because you can get it as a business owner. There are so many things that you can do, that you have to do, that you want to do. If you've got to keep coming back and say, okay, step back. Why are we doing this? What's the desired outcome? And if you have clarity, and a lot of times people have no idea. They say, I don't even know why we're doing this. So making sure you're going back and reconnecting back to your vision is critical. And then the what is the strategy. And I can't stress enough the importance to simplify and focus, prioritize. You just can't do it all. I mean, most entrepreneurs are confident. They're in this because they know they can do things well. And stop me if you've ever heard that, if you've ever felt this way before. Well, I know someone else can do this, but I can probably do it better, so I'm going to do it. And and the problem is you don't have that much time. I tell people all the time, you may work 80 hours a week, but you can't tell me that your 80th hour of the week is as productive as your 25th hour of the week. Yeah. And when you're trying to do everything, the small number of things that are really most critical don't get done. That's why, less is more is just really true. Focus on that. And then tactics. Tactics really, I think of tactics as how you do the right things. So strategy is understanding what are the right things to do, and tactics are just how do you do those things right. Yeah. And if you think about strategy is revenue tomorrow, and tactics are revenue today. And if you want to get revenue today, you have to be focused on strategies for tomorrow.
That's good. You know, I just want to go back just a little bit about the 80 plus hours a week. So do you think I should cut my hours here?
I refuse to answer that question.
I'm just being a little, funny.
No. We
but,
did have this conversation with you, Carter, the last time we spoke, and we have to really look at our time. So no, you cannot cut your hours, Eric, but you have to make sure that you allocate your hours for other things like your wife and saying happy anniversary because it's our anniversary today and we're working. So you can't
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'll make one more comment because it came up today from a client. I think it's something to think about. They were asking me, they said, okay, how should I, they asked a good question. They said, how should I divide my time between sales and operations and admin? Is there a rule of thumb? And my answer was, you should spend as little time as you can on sales, but not 1 minute less than you have to spend. Because, and if you think about it that way, if you say, look, the more efficient I can get at selling, then the more time I have to do the work or develop a better strategy. And people don't always think about time, and you really, it's such a critical thing that you don't have unlimited time. So thinking and prioritizing on how you can be more efficient in your time is just a really smart thing to do.
Yes.
It is. It is. And I like how you started that off with vision. You have to revisit your vision often. So it keeps you on track too. Like, why am I doing this? Oh yeah, that's why I'm doing this. And actually today, Eric and I went over our vision, and we revised it a little bit to be more current. And sometimes your vision may shift a little bit. For most people, shifting took place because of COVID, and we had to adapt and we had to pivot. So sometimes you have to change your vision, but you always have that foundation of why we do business. And so what is our mission? And our mission is the heartbeat of our organization. And then our vision is where we want to see our organization go. So we worked on our mission today, and we're critiquing our vision. And this is what we're doing in our vision. We had to pivot, and now we're interviewing professionals like yourself in our pivot. So our vision has changed just a little bit. But anyways, I just wanted to say, that's good that we revisit our vision, and then understanding the strategy and how to work in the tactics. Is that basically what you're saying?
Yeah, I think that's great. Maybe one comment on vision. People say, well, we're in a really difficult time, and it's very hard to think about vision. I can't think about vision. Well, there's a great line from Alice in Wonderland, the Cheshire Cat. Alice is asking for directions, and essentially Cheshire Cat says, do you know, I'll give you directions, but do you know where you're going? She says, oh, I really don't know where I'm trying to get to. And the cat says, great, well, any road will get you there. And, and so you have to have some vision. The difference is that your vision doesn't have to be 10 years out, but your vision, you have to have some desired outcome. Maybe it's 30 days from now, maybe it's 60 days from now. But what do I want to get to there? What outcomes do I need? You still have to have some sort of a vision of a desired outcome.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
So I have a question. So how has this pandemic changed your vision? And what have you done differently during this time?
That's a great question. So one of the things is I'm doing a lot more of my work via Zoom, and it ends up being kind of a win-win because instead of having to travel places, because I have clients all over the Bay Area and really in other parts of the United States, but instead of having to travel, I'm changing what I do and how I provide it to kind of one-on-one calls via Zoom. And the good thing is it means that there's more flexibility for my clients. So if a client calls and says, hey, can we switch for, a few hours from now or tomorrow? I can say, hey, no problem. Because I'm not driving and I'm not having to make those other meetings. So it gives more flexibility to the client. And then the other thing for me that's been good is it means I can deliver, kind of my services in smaller windows, which means I don't have to charge as much. So it's more value for the client. I still do just fine. And it's just a question of pivoting and working a little bit differently.
Yeah, that it seems like it's working for you, and it's working for us working with you this way too. So we like it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it definitely saves us time. I mean, how much work can you get done on a 4-hour commute day, right?
Right.
And so
you're exactly right.
A lot of, go ahead.
I say the other thing that I would say too is I think during the pandemic, it's helped me reflect back more on values and make sure, okay, I have limited time on Earth. So how do I want to spend it? And who do I want to spend it with? And how do I want to give my time, to people? And that's been really good to kind of reconnect back to my own values.
That's great. That is good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of people are doing that too during the shut-in, and you really have to evaluate. Life is really too short, and if I die tomorrow, am I going to be happy? With what I lived today. So really have to take every moment and every minute valuable.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I guess so. If I can sum up, if I were encouraging a business owner, I would say, number one, think about a vision, think about some desired outcome. What do you really want to accomplish? Something. Then I would go in and focus on, okay, what are the right things to do? How can I simplify? How can I focus? If I think I can do 20 things, okay, what if I can only do 4? What would be the 4 most important things to do? And then think about, okay, how can I do those well? And let me make sure I can execute those well. Those would be kind of the 3 keys that I would offer. And I'm always happy to talk, by the way. I think you'll share my email address or phone number, and I always have conversations with people, and I love what I do, so I will have a kind of a free conversation via phone for a few minutes, try to understand what people are doing, and if there's some way I can help them, always happy to do that.
I don't know if you shared this, but what does Sherlaw's group? What is it do? What do you do?
Oh, so we're a business coaching and advisory firm. Sherlaw's was essentially founded by people who said, companies that are really small companies, they have similar problems as much bigger companies, but they don't have $1 million to go spend on a big time consultant to do it. So what Sherlaw's did was they created these foundational, we call them frameworks, that enable us to kind of put it over a situation and kind of help understand, okay, what's really going on? What are some ways of looking at this so that we can kind of more quickly get at the problem and help them with solutions that they can implement.
Wow.
So what would your ideal customer be?
Someone who wants to grow, someone who acknowledges that deep down they understand that there are probably some things that they'd be open to doing differently. And someone who still has the desire to grow and have a thriving business, but someone who feels like maybe they've hit a bit of a brick wall. I love working with people who feel stuck, and people who may not always feel comfortable or safe admitting that. Those are people I love working with.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that feel stuck. And sometimes feeling stuck is you almost feel a sense of failure when you're
Oh my
stuck. Like,
gosh.
why can't I figure this out? And so once people get over themselves, definitely contact, people that can help, like yourself. I mean, it is a game changer in life, in your business. So I think it's well needed to have those other people, to like professionals like yourself, to really engage with business owners that are stuck. And sometimes, to be honest, we feel stuck at times, like, oh my gosh, when is this pandemic going to end? Or like you said about the paycheck, here comes Friday, we got bills to pay.
Yeah.
And and that's being honest. And so, and we're not failures, but we keep
No.
what makes us successful is that we keep going.
And I think
you also need to know when to fold them too. So
yeah,
anyways.
and I think part of it's also understanding that you're not alone and you're not the only person that's had this, and you're not a failure because other companies are going through the exact same thing. So you can feel bad, and that's okay, but understand that you're not alone. Other people do this, and there are solutions that can help you get out of it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's great.
Got a question here real quick before we go. Is this just for the brick and mortar business?
Nope, not at all. I work with all these different strategies and solutions. Can be for online businesses. They can be for service companies. Same kind of principles of growth are the same, and product can be your product, and your product can be your online website. Your product can be a service that you're offering online. Absolutely, same principles.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Is there anything you want, like anything, a takeaway? Share a takeaway or a call to action with the listeners out there. Is there anything you want to leave?
Take an hour sometime in the next week, get away from your office, just get a piece of paper and just ask yourself, just spend a little bit of time on vision. Just say, what would I really want as an outcome 30 days, 90 days, a year from now? If things were to go well, what would I really want to have as an outcome? And spend some time there and connecting to a vision short term. Doesn't have to be huge, doesn't have to be all encompassing, but just some things. And because when you have a little bit of a vision, it's a lot easier to persevere and to go through the process of the strategy, because you're saying, oh yeah, this is why I'm doing that. Okay, I get that.
Good.
You have homework, Eric.
So you guys heard it right here. Take about an hour and plan on that vision. Work on that vision. Take some time and get that passion back. Whatever challenges or obstacles you may be going through, we're all going through them, but let's go through them together. If you hit that brick wall, let's start breaking it down. Let's get up over that wall and go to that next brick wall that we can break down and move on again. So I want to thank you, Carter, for being a part of our live show today, and really appreciate the input and the information that you've given out. If you guys want to reach out to Carter, his number and his email, his website is all in the chat box. So thank you, Carter, for being a part of our show. Thank you, Linda, and happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, thank you. You have a great day. Thanks, Carter.
All right,
Thanks.
Carter.
Oh, we'll be back on Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we'll be back at 2:00. See you then.